All right, so today we're going deep into some music industry drama, and this one is really something. Drake, one of the biggest names in music, is suing his label because he thinks they sabotaged him to help another artist. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, you don't see that every day. An artist that big fighting with their label like this, it seems like it's more than just ego, probably a lot of money involved. And who has the power?
Right, and the source we're looking at for this deep dive is this YouTube video from a commentator named Jamari. He breaks down the whole lawsuit. It's super complicated, but basically, Drake's saying that Universal Music Group, his label, and Spotify, they worked together to make Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us more popular.
To understand why this lawsuit is a big deal, you have to understand the music industry. It's always been a fight between artists and labels. But now with streaming, it's gotten even more complex.
So what exactly is Drake accusing them of? Well, Jamari points out some pretty crazy stuff. Like, Drake claims that UMG gave Spotify a 30% discount if they promoted Not Like Us a lot.
Preferential treatment and marketing. That's nothing new. Labels always want to give their artists an advantage. But here, Drake's basically saying UMG is manipulating the whole system. Think about it. Spotify decides what you see on Discover Weekly, what songs are on the big playlists. That has a huge impact on which songs become popular.
And it's not just playlists. The lawsuit claims they used bots, fake accounts to stream the song a bunch of times.
That's where it gets serious. That's not just marketing. That's straight up fraud. Using bots to make a song seem more popular. It's illegal. It tricks fans, messes with the charts, and can really hurt artists who are trying to make it up.
And get this, the lawsuit says even Siri was involved, supposedly redirecting people searching for Drake's music to Not Like Us.
That's where things get a little hard to believe. UMG might have used their connections to help Not Like Us. But controlling Siri? That seems like a stretch. You know, lawsuits always have all sorts of claims. Some are more likely to be true than others.
Right. But then there's this whole whistleblower thing that Jamari mentions. Someone on DJ Academic's show said they got paid by UMG to boost streams. And then they didn't even get all the money they were promised.
Yeah, that's where the gossip and the evidence get mixed up. It's an interesting story, but without proof, it's hard to say if it's true. But if it is, it would help Drake's case, because it shows they were trying to manipulate things.
And it's weird how Drake relies on people like academics for publicity, but then won't even mention him in the lawsuit.
It shows how complicated these relationships are. Artists need these platforms to be heard, but they also have to be careful not to get taken advantage of or caught up in these power games.
Yeah. The lawsuit also says UMG paid influencers and podcasters, specifically the guys from the NFR podcast, to promote Not Like Us. I mean, that's pretty common these days. But it's interesting to see it in a lawsuit.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about how much of this goes on. Labels using influencers to push music. Should fans know more about when that's happening? Does it make them trust music recommendations less?
And it all comes back to this question of power. Who really has control? The artists or the labels?
Exactly. This isn't just about Drake and Kendrick. This is part of a bigger fight. It's been going on for years. Artists are fighting back against unfair contracts, wanting more control over their music. They see the system as prioritizing money over art.
And we're seeing it everywhere now. Taylor Swift re-recording her old music, independent artists doing it all themselves.
Yeah, definitely. With technology, artists have more ways to reach their fans directly.
Right.
So the power is shifting. And this lawsuit with Drake, it shows that things are changing.
So where does Kendrick Lamar fit into all of this? He's not really saying much, is he?
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet, letting his music do the talking. He actually dropped a new album, GMX, right in the middle of all this. But it's a different sound for him.
Yeah, I've heard it. Swabble up, Luther. Definitely got that California vibe. Do you think he's staying out of it on purpose? Or is it just a coincidence that his album came out now?
It's tough to say. But it does make you wonder, how do artists deal with these industry fights? Drake's very public. He likes the attention, not afraid to speak his mind. Kendrick's more private. He lets the music speak for itself.
And it's working for him. Super Bowl performance coming up. Meanwhile, Drake's kind of melting down on Twitch. We have to talk about that. Shaved head, ranting about the Sixers, freaking out over the Weeknd's music.
It's definitely gotten people talking. Is this real? Or is it just for show?
I mean, he's really good at turning drama into hits. Maybe this is all going into his next album.
Could be. Remember his beef with Meek Mill? Some of his biggest songs came out of that. Drake knows how to turn a bad situation into good music.
So is he really hurting? Or is this all part of the Drake show?
Probably a little of both. He's definitely upset, but he's also smart. He knows how to use that.
It's what makes him so interesting?
He's super successful.
Yeah.
but also shows his emotions.
And people connect with that.
He's not afraid to be real. Makes his successes even more impressive.
Okay, but let's zoom out for a second. This whole thing with Drake in the music industry, it's bigger than just gossip, right?
Definitely. This is about the future of music, how it's made, how we listen to it. This lawsuit is asking some big questions about power in the industry, about what's ethical when it comes to streaming, about what it means to be a successful artist today.
So what happens now? What could happen with this lawsuit?
Well, it could go to trial. That would be huge. Imagine all the secrets that could come out. It would be crazy.
And it could make the streaming world more transparent.
Exactly, if Drake can prove what he's saying. About UMG and Spotify. It could change things for other artists, too. They might feel empowered to speak up.
Or it could all just go away and nothing changes.
That's always possible. The music industry doesn't like change. And good companies like UMG, they have a lot to lose if things change too much.
One thing's for sure, though. This isn't over yet, and it's going to keep raising important questions about the future of music and the artists who make it. This really does feel like a turning point for music. Artists fighting their labels, Taylor Swift taking back her music, all these independent artists making it on their own. It's messy, but exciting too, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. This whole fight between the old ways and the new ways, it's changing everything. And it's not just about the artists, it's about the fans too. How we listen to music now.
That's what I think is so interesting about this whole Drake thing. It makes you think about, what do we really care about in music? Is it about being real? About artistic expression? Or are we okay with just listening to whatever's popular, even if it's all manufactured?
That's a good question. Everyone has to decide that for themselves. But this case shows us that sometimes the music we hear, the artists who get big, it's not always because they're the most talented or because people genuinely love their music. There are other things going on behind the scenes.
Right, we're seeing what's really happening. All the deals, the streaming manipulation, the fights between artists and labels.
It's a business. It's all about money.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means the artists get screwed over.
That's why I think this lawsuit is a good thing. Even if Drake doesn't win, it's making people talk. Think about how music works.
Absolutely. It's a chance to look at how we listen to music.
So as this whole thing plays out, what should people be watching for?
Well, keep an eye on the lawsuit. Will it go to trial? Will we see more proof of what Drake is saying?
And what about Drake's career? Can he get away from UMG? Really be in control of his own music?
That's tough to say. He has a lot of albums left on his contract. But Drake's always surprising us. He might find a way.
And could this change the whole industry? Will other artists stand up and fight too?
It's already happening. Artists are getting smarter. They know their rights. They're not afraid to fight back. This whole thing with Drake, it could make things change even faster.
So yeah, this is definitely not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. We've only just started to understand how complicated all of this is. But that's what makes it so interesting. It's not just about Drake. It's about the future of music.
And we're all a part of that, whether we're making music
Yeah.
or just listening to it. So stay informed, pay attention, and keep listening.